What is up, Austin Clarkson? How you doing, my friend?
How's it going? Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday to you. Hey, I'm excited that you're hopping on here with me. Is this your first Facebook Live?
It is. I think we're long overdue for it.
So, Austin and I wanted to get together today to talk about what's going on in the lending world with the coronavirus and our current economy. There's been a lot of questions and concerns amongst those people that are looking to buy and sell real estate right now. So I appreciate you hopping on and taking some time out of your day to chat a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of nuts out there. Corona 2020 has really made things interesting for us on our end, and I'm sure your end as well. So I think this is good that we'll be able to help educate some clients, and especially who are potentially looking to purchase soon, and let them know that all things are well and kind of just educate them on both ends. So
awesome. Yeah, and if you guys have any questions or anything like that, please put them in the comments. I'm going to work on trying to make sure I can see those so that way we can get those answered. Cool. So the first thing I want to talk about is just kind of, time frames with what you're seeing, with loans right now. Have you seen any, real slowdowns or, anything like that?
No, we are 100% full go still. Business as normal. Obviously, what the market's doing, there's a lot of volatility as far as rates go, but I think that will tend to level itself out here in the next couple of weeks. But we're full go, still 100%. Full speed ahead as far as underwriting. Everything goes. We're business as usual.
Nice. I mean, have you had a lot of people? I mean, I know, obviously before all this stuff happened, there was a boom with the refis and things like that. Are you still seeing, refis coming in? Are you still seeing loan applications coming in as normal, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to kind of give you a little background on the last couple of weeks on our end. So 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we've seen lowest rates we've seen in years. And then with just the uncertainty of what everything's going on, investors kind of put a pause on purchasing mortgages. And that's kind of where you've seen the government try to step in and really help out with that as far as, lowering prime rate, guaranteeing, I think they came out and said $600 billion would be given to investors to continue to purchase mortgage-backed securities. So in the weeks following, we haven't really seen too much movement on that end, but I think it will adjust and start to, lower rates back down. We saw a shift upward as far as rates go. So as far as any new clients who are actively looking or even looking to refinance, I'm just telling clients not to panic. This has happened before. There is still some unknown, if you would, but from my experience, I think that now, granted, I am not 100% positive, and I'm not going to predict, but I think just based off previous experiences, we will see rates start to level back down in the next couple of weeks and get back to more of a normal market.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't even know what rates are. I know as a real estate agent, I don't dive too much into that with my clients. I let the lenders and my clients have those conversations. So I don't, full disclosure, I don't follow rates that closely to begin with, just because I don't think it's necessarily my job. I want to get my clients over to my preferred, partner and trust that they're going to have those, intelligent conversations of rates to lock and what's the best way to do it. What are rates right now? I don't even know. I know they've been going up and down with everything that's been going on, but what's the average, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, that's really an open-ended question because there's a lot of different scenarios when it comes to what your rate's going to be. Full disclosure, I can tell you they're not zero, as may think, but we can kind of get into that a little bit later too. But generally speaking, right now, tracking 30-year, maybe mid to high fours. Again, a lot goes into that based off the profile, from credit score, loan to value. A lot goes into it. So, but generally speaking, mid to high fours, 15-year, maybe low to mid fours as well. But again, I think it's I'm not locking in anybody that's going into contract this week. I think the best play would just be to kind of hit the pause button a little bit, see what the market does, how it reacts in the next couple of weeks, and game plan from there. But
cool. When is the last possible time that you can lock your rate in? How far can you push that out?
Yeah, that's a great question. Really, technically, we can go up very close to our closing date. Now, that's not ideal in every case scenarios. We definitely would like to get that locked in as quick as possible, but it's important to make sure, and that's where working with somebody experienced like ourselves at Lower comes into play, because we're watching markets daily, several times a day, making sure that we're capturing our clients, best point in the market, we're locking them in. So, you can really go pretty far into the loan process without locking it, and that's basically what we're doing on our end. We're kind of floating the rate, if you would, meaning not locking it in right away and just watching it daily of, how the market's reacting, making sure that we're locking clients in at the best possible, moment in the market. And if we see an opportunity where rates start to go down, we're capturing that. So it's a good question. I get that asked a lot of, how long can I go until I have to absolutely lock in my rate? And it all comes down to, not to get too technical, but TRID. We have to technically have a locked in loan before we send out the closing disclosure 3 business days prior to settlement. But that's, up into the last week pretty much. So
I guess if you're a gambling man, you may want to just let it ride to see what it goes to, right?
Yeah, I think I consider myself a gambling man, but I don't like to gamble with other clients' money. So I always put the decisions on them, and
no
what their options, and see what they think.
Yeah. So one of the things I definitely wanted, we've talked off camera and things like that, but one thing that I definitely wanted to pick your brain on was, with everyone getting laid off, and obviously that's it's a hard question, but one of the things that you guys check prior to closing is verification of employment. And I'm just curious to see kind of what you guys have been seeing on your end so far. It's only been a week or so. I'm sure there's loans that have already been affected by it, but have you guys heard of anything, any changes coming, or is it just kind of business as usual? And
so, great point. And I've personally seen it where clients have been affected by this in the industries, whether it be restaurant workers, just you name it, clients are being affected from this in all industries. And so we still have to follow certain guidelines, play by the rules. Unfortunately, as much as we can make exceptions here and there on certain things, we definitely will in certain cases if it makes sense. But in terms of verifying employment, we really need to go pretty close to closing dates, especially now with what's going on. And to your point, a lot of people being impacted. We want to make sure that we're verifying that we still have solid work history and making sure that they're still having jobs pretty close up until closing date. So it's a good question.
I was going to say I guess as a real estate agent standpoint, or a lending standpoint, if someone does lose their job, are you then talking 30 days pay stubs if they did go get a different job, or like if everything comes back to what it was? Should we extend? I guess my question is, should we extend contracts, or should we have those conversations with the listing agents, the sellers?
Yeah, it's going to be case by case. And also when it comes to new jobs, those are different requirements versus whether the borrower's salary, hourly, and again, not to get too technical, but it all is going to be case by case. So I think that's where you guys do a really good job of reaching out and, us helping educate clients of maybe what they should do surrounding these scenarios. But in certain cases, if they're just going to be laid off, I think that would be a little bit easier to just extend closing by a couple weeks, and just get the re-verification of employment that they're back to their normal set hours. And this is something different that we've never seen before either during these circumstances. It's not just because the factory is slower these days where they're being laid off. It's laid off because of pandemic issues around the country. So I think that we will make, certain exceptions, if you would, on, hey, this borrower was laid off because of these circumstances and now they're back. And as long as I think we can get verification from the employers, again, I don't know that 100%, but that's just based off of my experiences and
sure,
getting guess possible that would be the circumstances.
Sure. So then the other big thing that went around this week was Fed dropping rate to 0%.
My favorite topic.
Yeah, and everyone believing that was mortgage rates. So to dive into and explain what that means to the general public, and then what that means to mortgage rates.
Yeah, it's a great question. I've been asked this many times by clients, how does this impact my rate? Is my rate going to be 0%? If it was, I would have refinanced as well and taken advantage. But when you look at prime rate versus mortgage rates, they're apples and oranges. So sometimes when the Fed lowers rates, it has a direct correlation to what the mortgage rates are going to be. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's an inverse relationship, where we saw 2 weeks ago when the Fed announced that the following week rates for mortgages skyrocketed. And even though, prime rate, which affects, home equity line of credits, credit cards, installment loans, those are going to be impacted. But even then, in these situations where it's, due to national outbreak of whatever issue, security issues, it's most lenders even have floor rates when it comes to prime. So it's truly, even if they go to zero, clients may not see the full impact of having their rates go to zero, unfortunately, but that's case by case. So I think that's where you reach out to your loan officer and ask them what impact that does. But as far as mortgage rates go, whole different ballgame. And like I said, sometimes they are directly influenced by what the Fed does. Sometimes it's simply opposite. And that's where if I knew 100% what they were going to be doing, I'd be retired on a beach somewhere and making a bunch of money if I could predict the market. But unfortunately, I don't have that 8 ball of knowing what it's going to do. But I think that's also working with somebody experienced and can look off basic trends and follow the 10-year treasury, which most lenders use to set their mortgage rates. I think that's having a conversation is definitely wise to kind of see when we should lock in, making sure, like I mentioned earlier, if right now I don't plan on locking any new buyers or, clients looking to refinance right now. I think I'm hitting the pause button just based off what I'm reading, what, the Fed's doing. But hopefully that helps educate clients of the difference between prime rate and mortgage rates. So.
Yeah. So pivoting then into, the current market right now, there's still great programs out there. I keep, obviously as the real estate agent, I got clients that are out looking. I have clients thinking about selling, just various conversations. And on my side of things, we haven't really seen that much of a slowdown with listings and people going into contract and things like that. And I know that you said that there's still some great, programs on the financing side of things, some OFA, some down payment programs, and those. How are things looking with the government type loans?
Yeah, as long as the government stays open, like I said, we're fully open for business and just conducting business as usual. And like we spoke before, there's all kinds of different loan programs for different borrowers out there. First-time home buyers, next-time home buyers don't necessarily have to be a first-time home buyer to qualify for some of these programs. And the rates are set by the state themselves. So on some of the down payment assistance programs, the rates are set by the government. So still a really good option for first-time home buyers, next-time home buyers. Some of the grant programs we have are still first come, first serve. So we've seen a lot of people still taking advantage of the grant programs out there. To your point, things aren't slowing down for you guys as well. And I think now more than ever, maybe a good time to look at purchasing, just because the demand has really slowed down a little bit, which may have, you can speak on this a little bit more than I can, but I think I've seen in a couple last weeks, especially, as buyers having more leverage when it comes to placing offers, not as much competition. And that's important too, especially as we're coming in on the busy season, the purchase season in the summer, when people are trying to get their clients or kids into certain school districts. So I think now more than ever could be a good time to start looking to buy.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, on my side of things, there's still properties being listed. Obviously, with what's going on, there's always going to be some buyers and some sellers that are a little hesitant to pull the trigger on things, just with just the uncertainty that's out there right now. But like you said, that being said, also now's the opportunity with less competition. Our market's super strong. There's still a ton of buyers out there. There's not enough inventory right now. So if you're a seller, it's still a great time to list. If you're a buyer, some of the buyers are backing off. Now you're not going to have as much competition on properties. And really, agents and agents are starting to come together in our market on, how to handle showings. Are we doing open houses versus not doing open houses? There's talks about, showings only being for 30 minutes at a time, and providing gloves and masks and Clorox wipes and things like that to really be safe during the showings. Because it's not obviously you're letting strangers into your house, and every person's different. But I have a friend and his wife, they have a 1-year-old, and we just listed their house on Wednesday, and I think we're up to 6 or 7 showings for Saturday when our showings start, and we're doing an open house. And I know other agents on our team brought some new listings on this week, and they have multiple showings lined up. So, no matter what's going on, I tell our agents, no matter what's going on in the world and how the market is, there's always people out there buying and selling real estate, right? Like last year, there was 34,000 houses that sold in our MLS. It's not going to go from 34,000 houses to zero. Right. There may be a dip, it may go down to, 20-some thousand, 25,000, but there's always people looking to buy and sell real estate no matter what the market is.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a great point. I think, especially on the sell side, values are still there, as strong as ever, especially in our market here, right in Columbus, Ohio. I think this is one of the strongest markets in the country. And I think it's a great time to continue to, list your house, whether you're buying, selling. I think it's a good time. The market's as strong as ever in terms of values. So yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah, and even in the grand scheme of things, rates are still low. Yeah, have they gone up in the past week and a half? Whatever it has been. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's not like they jumped up to 7, 8, 9%. So
yeah, it's funny. Some of the older clientele that we work with, they remember, and they'll tell you about when rates were 10 to 15%, and they were getting 20% on their CDs. So definitely times have changed, but relatively rates are still super low, and even in the high, like I said, mid to high 4s, if that's where we're looking and trending. It was this time last year that rates were that low and even higher. So I think we got a little spoiled a couple weeks ago. Everybody is wanting that 3.25, 3.5.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what happens. That's why the rates shift and swing, but it's still relatively low compared to last year and historically.
Yeah. So. Well, I appreciate you hopping on here. If anyone wants to talk to Austin about getting pre-approved or the financing world with purchasing a home, his link's in the comments. You can do an online app, and he'd be happy to reach out to you. Is there anything that we missed that maybe you wanted to touch on, or did we pretty much cover everything?
I think that's just about it. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to use me as a resource. I know myself and my team, we do a really good job of just educating ourselves every day, making sure we're up to date on what the Fed's doing, where the market's at. But like I said, we're business as usual. I know third parties, sometimes, I don't think we maybe touched on that as far as the process when we rely on third parties as far as like appraisers and getting verification of employments back from certain clients. HR could be shut down or working from home. So that sometimes presents a little bit of a challenge, but it's not to say that it's impossible to do. And we're still, like I said, I think the timing may be in some cases a little bit longer, but it's case by case. Sometimes there's no delay. We're finding our local appraisals here still conducting as normal timing for the most part. But yeah, I think we've hit a lot of good things there. And if you have any questions, like I said, use me as a resource. I'd love to help out.
Awesome. Hey, Austin, I appreciate it. Hopefully you have a fantastic weekend, and hopefully it doesn't look like your basement got flooded this morning like mine did.
That sounds like you're gonna have a fun weekend.
All right, I'll talk to you. I appreciate you.
I'd love to help, but government says they got to stay inside and keep quarantining.
Yeah,
I can virtually come over and clean up some water damage.
Yeah, I don't even know what I'm gonna be able to do, or who I'm even gonna be able to get to come out to the house. So it'll be an interesting couple days here at my crib. So hey, I appreciate it. And, I'll talk to you here soon.
Yeah, we'll see you later.